think we are all accustomed with class.
Yes.
I won't go through how to do that by now. I'm here to talk about Dr. Arthur Jensen, who is an American educator, psychologist. But before we do that, for our final presentation, we're going to be taking an IQ test. This is a sample IQ test. We're only going to spend 30 seconds, maybe a minute taking it. Don't stress out, just try to work through as much as you can and take from it what you can. Okay, so let's go ahead and have seats down. You don't even have to start at number 1. If number 4 looks more appealing, go ahead and start there. I'll give that to you. Okay. And when I say begin, we can start. Thank you. All right, so go ahead and begin. Okay, class.
Yes.
Class.
Yes.
Go ahead and turn your papers over. Don't worry, we're not going to grade these or, show and tell. Just a little warm up. So what I want your feedback. Do you feel that test was, given the time limit of course, do you feel that test was fairly easy? Could you do it in your sleep? Do you feel it was somewhat challenging? What do you think about it, Michelle?
It was pretty easy to take a look and get the pattern and move on to the next one.
Okay. Does everybody pretty much agree with Michelle? Okay. So now I want you to think about, what if you were black? What if you were African American? What if you were Hispanic? What if you were a minority? Do you feel that this test would be any more difficult? Any more easy because you are of a different race? Any feedback? Okay. Well, Jensen was born in 1923. He was a student of fellow psychologist Simons and German psychologist Eisnick. I believe I'm saying that correctly. He published an article in 1969 in the Harvard Educational Review. In this article, he presented evidence that racial differences in IQ tests may actually be genetic in origin. Which that's not really anything new as far as controversy. What was so controversial about it was that he recommended that African American students be separated from white students and educated differently based on their genetic origins. So what led to this article, what led to this evidence was his grad students were working with special ed students, and the grad students pointed out to Jensen that they felt, or they noticed, that their white special ed students seemed more genuinely retarded, their words, not mine, don't throw legs at me, than the minority group. Okay? They noted that the white special ed students, they seemed of a lower level, both in class and outside of class, versus the minority group who, inside class, they were of lower level, but if you take them outside class, they were pretty indistinguishable from their fellow students, their fellow peers. So, of course, grad students being curious, they presented the question to Jensen, are there any culture-free intelligence tests that might explain these differences? So, Jensen, experiment after experiment after experiment, came up with the result that the G-loaded intelligence test, which you kind of touched on, Anne, a little bit, is a fairly good measure of intellectual ability. And what would be an example of a G-loaded test? Similar to what I just gave you. So it usually has to do with abstract reasoning and critical thinking. And he also said that racial differences in the average IQ scores are not due to any cultural unfairness that might be intrinsic to these tests. Okay? So he published his article based on all of these findings. Now, Jensen, of course, created his own theory, which is why we're talking about him today. However, he does support Spearman's G factor in human intelligence. The G factor is simply a general intelligence factor. But he divides his own theory into two different sets of levels, or two different sets of abilities. Okay? So, hopefully you can read my writing. I'm a little shaky. All right, so level 1, Randy. Level 1 is kind of a general level, and the abilities within this level are memory functions and simple associative learning functions. So can you go ahead and repeat back to me what I just said about the two abilities?
Memory levels and associative learning.
Good job. If we can all give Randy a 2 thumbs up wiggle. So memory, functions, and then simple associative learning. Now, like I said, this is equal among races, so we can define it kind of general and equal among everyone. So level 2, Monique,
Yes.
is the ability to have abstract reasoning and conceptual thought. So can you go ahead and repeat back to me what I just said about the level 2 abilities?
The ability to have abstract reasoning
Yes.
and levels of thought.
Good job. Conceptual.
Conceptual thought.
Okay. So on this last level, we'll go ahead and turn to your partner. And I want you to teach each other the 2 abilities of level 2. And teach.
Okay.
You can have a little
Okay.
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 Thank you. Thought you'd know that by now. And you can have a little trio too. Do I write them down for you? Okay, class.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. So again, level 1 is a general level. It's seen in all races. It deals with the ability to have memory function and simple associative learning. Level 2 deals with the ability to have abstract reasoning and conceptual thought. And this, white students and Asian students have been shown to demonstrate stronger abilities in level 2 compared to the other minority groups. So Jensen argues that since school success is mainly dependent on level 2, that white students and Asian students will more likely have more success in school. So those are his theories. And despite his controversial work, in 2003 he actually won, I believe it's the Chrysler Prize for original contribution. And since his 1969 article, he continues to publish empirical research that demonstrates genetic factors are a substantial source of the difference in IQ testing among races. And that's it.